Talking about scared, I think I'm going to start with that. This is a scary combination. I've never seen something like this. Both of you National Award winners for your work and for yours with this lovely, with John and Jane. I think it's a beautiful mix, and the work shows of how you guys have come together from two different streams of this cinema. And I think I'd love to know the genesis of this entire process of how you guys came up with the project and what the whole story's been.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's been quite a long journey, actually. Ocean, I only knew when we started doing some commercials together. So I saw him in a very glamorous, way of, very stylized, very glamorous. But when we started chatting while making those commercials, I realized that there was a lot more to Ocean. And I saw his film Miss Lovely, and I was very impressed with the way he kind of takes his shots and the kind of eye he has for all the detailing and the art, the production design, everything that goes into it. And at that time I was offered this movie where these other producers had come to me and they said that we've got the rights to make the film on Arun Gowli and we'd like you to play Arun Gowli. And I was like, are you guys crazy? From what angle do I look like Arun Gowli? But I said, okay, it's interesting, and I started reading about Arun Gowli. I didn't know much about him, and I found him quite fascinating as a character. But I hated the script. But I really hated the script that those guys had given me because it had nothing to do with his life. It was just, a commercial, potboiler, kind of unrealistic film that they wanted to do. And I said, if you're making a biopic, then it has to be a good one. And nothing came out of it. And I discussed this with Osham long time ago. And then one day I just locked myself in a hotel room and I started writing down. I got quite obsessed with it and I started writing down, a story which I sent to Osham just to get his feedback on it. And he loved it. And I'm glad he did because he doesn't like things very easily. And then he said, okay, we're going to sit together, because if we make your film, the way you've written it, we'd be doing it in 2 parts. So we've got to make 1 film. And then we sat down and started working on a structure. And all the producers who were with us started running away. And we were left with Osham and a whole pile of a team that we had hired, who we had committed to that we were going to make this film. And we also realized that those producers did not have the rights to make the film. And then we had to go and acquire those rights. And from that, I think our journey began. And I think through that, we got to know each other and and we decided what kind of film we really do want to make, and what kind of scale do we want to make this film at, and what kind of funding would be required to do it. And we do not want to compromise on just anything and everything by a studio telling you to put in an item number where it is not required, and stay as true to the story that we want to tell, which was not to glamorize or de-glamorize, but to let the audience make an opinion about the character we're talking about.
The teaser looks like there's a lot of research that's gone in every detail, but when you started researching, what were basically the avenues for you to research this character who's very much alive? I mean, it's the time of biopics, whether it's Dhoni or Neerja, but this is very different. And if I hear, this is not a biopic and not a gangster film, but it's something in between. It's a story. How did that process go?
Yeah, so the research was a lot, and if I talk too much about it, most probably I'll end up in jail. So I shouldn't. But yeah, you have to go. You have to go to where this world is. You have to go and you have to find the people who belong to this world, and talk to them. That's what we did. And of course, you had to get the rights and the permissions from the family. Also making it clear to the family that this is not something which is just going to be a film which is going to be a propaganda around the character, where you're just going to be showing him as this good guy, or doing a different kind of an image for him. It's not an image building exercise. We are excited because of the story, because of the life he led, and that's what we want to really explore. And it took a lot of time to convince the family to do that. And fortunately, they came on board. They totally understood. And when Arun Gowli came out on parole and we had the opportunity to meet him, he really said, no, I don't want to be shown as a hero. You know, I tell my story the way it is. Because this is the story of most of the people who come from our country, you know, who could go on whatever levels that they go to, you know, just to survive. And when you want to change and you want to bring about a change within yourself, do the systems really allow you to do that or not? And that's exactly what we wanted to capture through the film. And I think we did so by making it not a documentary. And of course, you kind of fictionalize a few things here and there from a cinematic point of view of storytelling. But more or less, it's based around true events. And that's what we kept it.
Perfect.
Even, you know, people who come from this lifestyle of being what we call gangsters or the underworld, they have their own rules as well. And one of the rules is that everybody during festivals, okay, meets as friends and sees if there can be a compromise or if there can be kind of, you know, any kind of negotiation. And they meet absolutely like that. They look after each other, wish each other, and then they leave. And as soon as they leave, they are enemies again, sworn enemies. But, and the second rule is that they don't attack anybody who is your kin, like your blood relation, you know. So they don't attack family members of gangsters. They'll attack everybody else, but they won't do that. So it's kind of a reference of all of that.
I mean, a lot of this stuff is actually far more researched than I would say like a standard film. The research is kind of insane on this project. I'll take you through some of it, even in terms of clothing. I mean, I grew up in this city, so I feel a lot of the films that have been made in Mumbai or Bombay have not been made by people who've grown up here. I've grown up in seeing these things, seeing these spaces, and I feel somewhat that I've always felt the detail missing. It always feels very generic, the gangsters, and actually they're not generic. If you're a gangster that comes from Lal Bagh, you have a certain style. If you're a gangster, you come from Dongri, you have another style, and another way of speaking, and another way of hanging out, and the way you wear your glasses is different. And I think that's the kind of level of detailing we got into in this film, you know, so that when you're in that world, you're actually absorbed into the atmosphere of the time. It's not just like, acha, everyone's a gangster. Each guy has his own form, in a way, and you will kind of see that through the pictures. Go to the next one.
Next one, please.
So this is my love interest in the film, okay, who's playing Asha Gowli. Her name is Aishwarya Ramesh. She's a wonderful actor from down south, from Chennai, and she's done a fantastic, fantastic job in the film. Her growth and her thing, and actually Asha Gowli herself is a very, very fascinating character. You know, she's gone through so much and has held the whole family together because, you know, he was never there. He was hardly ever there. He was hardly around. And so she plays a very, very pivotal part in this film. And yeah, news.
I think one thing which was interesting about Aishwarya casting her, very non-typical casting, of course, because again, I come, like I said, from a more independent space. We could have always cast a more glamorous, you know, more, you know, familiar face. But what I think, and that's the kind of thing that I think Arjun was really backing on this project, which I have to say was something which really gave me some kind of commitment as a director, because you basically say that let's go with someone who looks like Asha Gowli, not someone who looks completely different, who has no relationship. And what's, for me, for us, a great sense of praise was the family themselves, the daughters themselves, and Asha Gowli herself saying, wow, she looks a lot like me. She looks almost exactly like me when I was younger. And all the salwars and all that stuff, all of those things have actually been taken out of Asha Gowli's own family albums. We just replicated the style. So, you know, there's a sense of authenticity with this.
Like, I mean, he would get, I think we blew up some 18 washing machines you know, because he wanted the clothes to age on a certain level. And then he says, but it doesn't look right, it doesn't look right. And he said, what have you been doing? I said, Oshim, take it easy. You know, you've blown up 18 washing machines. So he said, but why are they washing it in washing machines? At that time, there were no washing machines. You have to wash it with your hands. So the whole costume department had to go back and wash those clothes with their hands and get that kind of aging. And that's the level of detailing Oshim works on. And he will not shoot if the shirt isn't right, you know. So you'd be standing on set and he would just not shoot it. So till he gets it exactly the texture and everything that he needs. Yeah. And I think that is painful when you're going through it, especially when you become a producer on the film. But but I think when you see it in the end and the end result, you know, you don't want to have it in any other way.
Yeah. That shirt's a character in itself.
Yeah, those shirts are amazing. I want all those shirts. Yeah, they've all been stitched actually from the time. None of these things are available, you know, and the girls we had on this were amazing. They were going to small towns and getting fabric that they don't print anymore so that they could make these clothes. So a lot of that. And I think one of the things, just coming back to the shirt thing, I've always had a big problem with when I watch a Bollywood movie is that why is the star wearing the thing that looks like it was just made and all the extras look like they're sweating? You know, I always had a big problem with this. Like, if everyone's a gangster, everyone's in the same space. Right. And that's something I told Arjun. I said that, you know, we have to be in the same space. Otherwise, you're always going to look like you're standing above all the other characters that are in the room. And that was a big problem. So I think that's something, you know, these are the kinds of things that we were really on in terms of the style of the film. So you're immersed in it. He becomes the character. You don't think, oh, it's Arjun throughout the film. You lose yourself in the film.
I want to make a point on that, Arjun. Exactly what he's talking about, usually the work that you do are made to stand apart. You're the star. You are sort of at the center. And here somehow, how was that process to sort of not just adopt the character, but become a part of the entire set?
You know, I try to do that with every film. I mean, you try to do it, you know. The level of, here you're playing a character who, you know, is alive, you know, and you have to kind of look like him, you know, there has to be a resemblance, you're playing somebody, so that becomes different. Otherwise, you're usually playing a character who's fictitious completely and you don't know, so you try to imbibe whatever those qualities are, and of course then that level of detailing is not really that much until unless that character is very, very well defined. You try to do it with every film, but as I said, not everybody goes through that level or that effort to make it happen. I think the first challenge for Daddy was, will I be able to look like Arun Gowli? Yeah. You know, and I think before we even committed to each other, we did a look test. And we put some prosthetics on and, you know, we kind of worked towards it. And when we saw it and we just shot it on an iPhone, we were like, wow, you know, this just like came alive, and that's what became really, really exciting. So that was the first level of encouragement you got. And then to live up to it, you know, by creating, by casting the rest of the film, by creating that world, and being able to just blend in became the key. So we got these amazing makeup artists from Italy, okay, Sergio, Simone and Ariana. They all came down from Italy. They spent, I think, 4 months here with us, you know, working on it. You know, we had Jess Lee, who did the cinematography, who was the DOP from Canada, who came down, you know, and she was a girl who was shooting a gangster film, you know, and that was
Maruti. It's very difficult to get Maruti vans like that. I think we blew up the last
It's shocking. You can't find a Maruti van when you need one, you know, to shoot.
Go forward, I think. This was actually a good example. I just wanted to show you the kind of locations we're shooting in. That's in Kamatipura. It's the back of a sweatshop, illegal sweatshop, actually run by real gangsters. So it was quite strange because we were shooting this gangster movie and then we had real gangsters landing up on set threatening us. So that was a whole other level that we had reached in production, I think. If you go to the next shot, actually, in the next image, you'll see, I think, no, sorry, it's not in the right order, but okay. Oh, you can go forward.
That's Nishikant Kamath, who's playing...
go back.
Who's playing the investigating officer, Vijayakar, in the film, who has a bone to pick with Gowli. And whoever knows Gowli's stories knows that, you know, he had this one guy who kept going after him.
And he's also aging through the film. So we had to keep track of everybody's ages, you know, like they were 30 years old, they're 60 years old, you're shooting out of sequence, you're shooting with prosthetics in the middle of Kamatipura, 12 hours in the heat. Not an easy film to make, you know. Yeah. Okay, this is some interesting stuff behind the scene in terms of just locations where we're shooting, all the docks, smuggling stuff in the rain, quite crazy. Then go forward. Okay, they're a bit in the wrong order, but I guess we could just.
So this is basically just the vibe of the film. You see the lighting, the difference, you know, in era and periods, and.
Arjun, that was a great producer moment 30 seconds back.
You know, actually, I'm just looking at all these stills and I'm just thinking, how the hell am I going to work in another movie? Really, I mean, I've really actually been spoiled, you know, because you kind of get to do what you want to do and do it in a really, really amazing manner, you know, where you really actually, Oshim being the purist that he is, and me having to don my, you know, producer hat at the same time, the actor, and at the same time think about the audience who we are making the film for, because finally you don't make a film to just watch it on your own, and you want, you know, to connect with the audience. You want the people from Dagdi Chaul to the people in Punjab to connect with this movie, and you know, so to have that kind of clarity, and I think the combination worked really, really well. And when you see stuff like this, you're like, damn, will I ever get an opportunity to work on a film which has this kind of matter, which has this kind of styling, layering, and so many complex characters, such great storytelling that goes back and forth, you know, and it's got a thriller vibe to it. I mean, the film won't be more than 2 or 5 minutes long, you know, and to pack everything into that, you know, and at the same time make it extremely accessible to everybody was, I think, the biggest challenge. And I think we kind of have achieved that. That we'll only know once the film releases. But the process and to get this, like you just see these images, you know, you don't see these kind of images. Every image, and this is just normal stills being shot on while the filming's happening, you know. And while me, myself watching it, I get surprised. So I'm sure it would be something unique for people to see.
Oshim, I'm not surprised at the authenticity. I mean, even in Miss Lovely, it's just something that, you know, sorry, but we expected and we're thrilled to see it. But in terms of treatment, Miss Lovely was still an independent film, and it was made for, you know, it premiered at Cannes and went on to win however many festivals, awards, national awards. This is a big film. So how do you keep the authenticity of your writing and your characters and yet tell a film that is not just talking to the Dagdi Chaul or the people who know of Arun Gowli, but internationally can actually understand where you're coming from?
I think that's, to me, like what's really an exciting thing about this film. It's really exciting for me. You know, I've always been kind of, in a way, cushioned by that international thing. I can always make films for a certain kind of international audience because I come from that space. For me, what was exciting here is, can I make a movie about a folk hero that, you know, people that live in Dagdi Chaul or just the working class that think of Gowli as a folk hero, can they watch that? Can somebody at Cannes watch it? Can somebody, you know, like that would be truly amazing. That would be truly exciting. That it can cut across all those lines, that we're not dumbing it down, and at the same time it's super accessible. And then if somebody wants to watch it who's more nuanced, they're watching all the layers, they're seeing the layers, somebody else may not be seeing it. That, I think, and we both really wanted a film like that would stay true to the story and to the space, and not just suddenly. And I think that's one of the issues, frankly, I'll be blunt, that I had with the first set of producers when we came on. I mean, the first thing I told Arjun is like, man, we can't do like an item number here suddenly in the middle of this. Like, it's just wrong. It's not correct for this film. And if I wanted to do that kind of stuff, I would have done it when I was 20 years old. I'd be already directing like 50 films like that. That was not the idea. The idea was, it was true to this, and you have the real material. You have a guy who's willing to give you his story, that he's able to call himself Arun Gowli in the movie. Why would you try and make it generic, you know? So that's really where I was coming from with this.
Yeah. Do we have more?
And I think we got that combination right, you know. I think the whole, every time you go out there to make a film, is you want to make a film, with a sensibility which you are not going to, when you watch the film, you know, cringe. There are a lot of films I've done where I cringe and I'm like, oh damn, why did I do that, you know? And now, at least with the opportunities that you get in life, you can say, okay, do this, do less work, but do the right work and, work with the right people. But at the same time, there's a responsibility. A film is not about, as I said, for a film which is to be indulgent and made only for me to watch at home and say, look at this, how I worked on this, and harp about it. The film is, you're expecting an audience to come there, pay for a ticket, and, walk out of there feeling something, taking something back, and you have to give back. And so you have to be very, very clear about that. What happens mostly when we do international films or films for festivals, they become very ambiguous, they become very, indulgent in many ways. This did not give us that luxury because when you want to make a film like that, you could do it, but you have to shoot it in a room, But when you make a film of this scale, you have a responsibility, and a film which is true to an audience that is huge, that goes to, which Arun Gauli has his own following, who are going to come there. You have to be true to them. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be true to the budget, And you got to kind of think about all those things, put them into perspective, and say, are we being indulgent at this point in time? Then we should pull the reins, and when we need to really go for it, do it. What's important in this whole combination was, the vibe, the world, and I think that Oshm is created beautifully with the kind of people, the team, everybody who came on to the film. He was so responsible in bringing so many of those people onto the film who we worked with, And my job was always to make sure that we are not disconnecting from the audience, that if I can't understand it, or I don't know why you're taking this shot, or dude, don't do it, because I don't know what's going to happen. And Oshm is very, very different in the way he takes his shots. This film doesn't have one OS. I've never, like an over-shoulder shot of a close-up of another guy while talking. I could be sitting here, talking here, and then the next shot's going out there. But then the way it's cut and it comes together, in fact, Deepa, who's our editor, first when she saw the footage, she's like, God, how am I going to cut this? And now it took her 2 months to just figure out what he was planning and how he was trying to tell the story. I could see it, but for her to also get into the groove of it and for it to be seamless, okay, it takes time. So when you're trying to do something new and different, but at the same time, making sure you're not alienating anybody was actually the combination that we wanted to get. And hopefully we've achieved that. That's what was the key.
I think achieving that combination as a director and with that vision, with this subject, was, like you said, a daunting task, but also a beautiful challenge that you've adapted to. But I want to know, as a producer of something like this, I mean, we hear day in and out that independent films are not, this is not independent, but it's not something with a big banner backing you and, you have the whole plan. Did you have a plan on day one? Did you?
It's my banner, it will be a big banner soon.
It is Kundalini Pictures, it's a big banner, it's beautiful. But did you have a plan on day one of the life or the journey of this film?
I said, I want to make this movie. I want to make it with Oshm. There's nobody else I'm going to make this film with. If he had said no, I wouldn't have made the film. And all the people, as I said earlier, in the beginning of our journey, had left us. There were a lot of people who had worked a lot, a long time, and had stuck with us and had not got paid. And there was a responsibility towards that. Of course, there was also a kind of an obsession about making the film myself. And so I said, okay, whatever it is, we'll start the movie. We will do it. We will see how it goes, okay? And we'll run with it. And I mean, I'm grateful to the whole team to have been that committed around it. So yes, it was done in a very independent manner because there was no studio backing. Okay, it was not an indie film because it doesn't have the scale of that. Okay, but we are trying to shoot it in a thing. So I don't think anybody's really done that. It was just pure passion that drove this film, and I'm glad it did because it ended up being extremely enriching, and is something which I think I've learned so much about production. About how what goes into making a film, if you really want to make it correctly. And I think created wonderful relationships through the process of doing that. I know the kind of people I would definitely be using in my films going forward and how we would be going forward with that. And a lot of people who I will never work with, you know, at the same time, because they just cannot get it. They're not passionate enough. So I would only work, what this film has taught me is to work with people who are only passionate. And then commercially what it does and what happens, that we will see when the film comes out.
I can't believe that, Osham, you've made the next film.
We can move on. That's Lee being funny. We got some stills in here which have been slipped in quietly. Just go back for a minute. And one more back. So this is the set we built, the Dagdi Chaul set. You can see it, you know, at night as well. So we spent a lot of time on the set. Also, I was very particular about the kinds of light. You know, there was a certain type of sodium light at a certain point in Bombay growing up, and then it changed to tubes at a certain point. So a lot of the films also color-coded like that, so you know the eras without having to resort to cheap like sepia toning and all that kind of stuff. It actually is the way the light works in the films. So just go forward. Keep going. Yeah, that's just a night. You can go forward. Okay. We can talk a little bit about Arjun.
No, we shouldn't talk about this one.
Yeah, some of this is actually from the film itself. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it yet. Yeah, this too.
Yeah, so this image, like, I mean, this is a crazy image. And Osham, I remember, told me, you know, while we were sitting one day and we was working on the script together, that I have this image in my head about, you know, him having his child and a gun in the hand at the same time. And I said, Osham, that's really filmy, yaar. You know what I mean? And you know, it can be like, you know, a gun and a gangster with the baby and all of that. But he said, no, you don't understand it. I have a different way of seeing it. And how this scene actually happens and what the mood of the scene is and where he's placed this. When you all watch the film, please, you will remember, okay, this conversation, it's so apt and it so beautifully comes in, you know, and it's so poignant for the story, the way it moves forward. But you have to watch the film. So these imageries are very, very strong. You don't see stuff like that, you know.
And I also like the idea, like what happens, right, when a gangster is, and very few gangster movies deal with this. What happens when you're in the midst of a gang war and you have a child? Like, it's an amazingly dramatic thing. And no gangster movie deals with that. Like, just dealing with a family on an everyday basis is dramatic enough, right? So I'm saying, like, what happens when you're actually also fighting a battle and suddenly you have a child and you have to deal with the domestic and you have to deal with this outside world. It's something else entirely. It takes it to a different level, I think, you know. We can go forward. These are just some of the images from, is that it?
That's it, I think.
Okay, I think we can jump forward a bit. I think this repeats, go forward. Yeah, that's Jess. Yeah, talk about this a little bit. Actually, this is a film that had 2 DOPs on it. Jess shot most of it, but because we shot over 3 schedules, quite challenging actually for a director to have 2 DOPs, especially with such a strong style. Right. I developed a lot of that style with Jess, who's a French-Canadian. It was also a very big film for her. She's come from a much more indie space. And Pankaj Kumar was the second, who just shot Rangoon and he shot Ship of Theseus, a lot of films. And he was the second DOP who worked on it. So that's also amazing because when you look at the film now, it's really seamless.
Can you please introduce yourself, sir?
I am Jyoti Venkatesh.
I know Jyoti, how are you?
You know, when you decided to produce the film, did you make it a point to see Dagdi Chaul in Marathi, where Makarand Deshpande had played the same role? And number 2, were you also a little bit scared about the political repercussions and the censor backlash that the film may get when it is shown to censor board?
Yeah. Oh my God, now you made me think about all of these things. But initially, yeah, I mean, the first thing is that, you know, you think that this is going to be a film which could run itself into a lot of controversies. And before we even started filming in it, we got into quite a bit of trouble, which we're still dealing with. You know, it's not something that's going to go away. But I think we've got a tremendous amount of support, and I must say this, from our Mumbai police. Our Mumbai police really, really supported this movie. You know, they did not say, oh, this is an Arun Gowli story and we won't let you shoot, especially when you're shooting on real locations, you know, where you're going into all of that, where a lot of that could be disrupted. So I think it was really amazing and it was very surprising how, and we're very grateful to them for the kind of liberty they gave us to make the film. What was your other question? Sorry?
Whether you saw Dagdi Chaul, the original Marathi.
Yeah, so Dagdi I saw, I haven't seen the film, but I knew that they had made this movie, and Makran looked very much like him in the film as well. But the people who saw the film knew that it was not a biopic, it was a film that was a love story based inside of Dagdi Chaul. So that was the difference. But what was encouraging from it was that that film was made, I think, in a budget. A friend of mine produced it, Sachin Ahir, who again is actually Arun Gowli's nephew. And he made the film in, I think, 2.5 crores, and that film ended up doing 22 crores in the regional thing. So hopefully I get some of that audience back into the theaters. So that was a good kind of a barometer of the kind of popularity Arun Gowli has. And the third question was?
Censor repercussions and political pressures, but you have the permission from the family, so there is no tension.
No, that's fine. We've got the rights. We've got, you know, it's all done on that level. We've got their blessings and their support. But from a censorship point of view, I don't know, man. They never cease to surprise you. So once we reach that level of getting the film censored, we'll figure out what's going to happen.
And a big compliment to Oshim and Arjun, the actor, because I couldn't believe that it is the same Arjun Rampal who is in front of us as Daddy.
Thank you. Thank you, Jyoti.
See, after what happened with Leela Bhansali on the sets, you know, and you guys are handling a very incendiary topic, and you had the right, guts to ask the family for the rights, yeah, and thankfully you got it. But my question is that, and this person is still alive, going back and forth between jail. Now, did you, or have you encountered, or did you think, you know, that you may, handling an issue where you could have probably just not taken those permissions from the family because this gentleman is alive and he's a gangster. He could say, नहीं मुझे यही depiction चाहिए मेरा, नहीं तो तुम्हारी picture नहीं चलेगी. So did you anticipate those kind of reactions and take some actions around it?
Yeah, so it wasn't easy to convince the family, because it is very sensitive. You know, you're going to go into his past, you're going to dig in there, you know, and these are, you don't know, you know, he's scared legally what implications it can have on him. And therefore, we have to be, you know, very clear about how the film progresses. So you take incidents that is in public domain, you know, which people are aware about. Of course, a little more from the family, from a research point of view, okay, which is how they, how he really is, you know, how people look at him. And one thing we mustn't forget is, why is this film called Daddy? Because that's the nickname that's been given to Arun Gowli by his people. He's not a bhai. He's not, you know, what do you call it, a don or a thing. They call him Daddy. That means he has a heart somewhere which he has touched a lot of people's lives. And I think that's the human side of his story also, which was what we got from the family. The incidents that have happened, which is in public domain, okay, are in public domain, okay. The way we have, the structure of the film is in such a manner that it is from people's point of views. So it's not him saying, oh, I did this. You know, it's a character's point of view. Yes, hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I am Ramesh Rao from Film Bazaar magazine. मैं उसी एरिया में रहता था, भाईकला में. मैं वहीं बड़ा हुआ हूँ. 15-20 साल पहले की स्टोरी है. करेक्ट सर, ओशन जी? तो जब भी कुछ किसको डेथ हो जाता, किसको शूट आउट होता, मेरे एक बिल्डिंग के सामने से उनको लेके जाया जाता था, जय राम श्री राम बोल के. हम लोग छोटे थे देखते थे सब शूट आउट। तो क्या इनको, मेरे क्लास में एक लड़का था, वो बोलता था यार वो दगड़ी चाल में रहता था, वो उनको सोने नहीं मिलता था, इतना शूट आउट होता था, वो सवेरे स्कूल आके बोलता था। तो ऐसा कुछ सीन आपने किया है क्या जहाँ दगड़ी चाल में शूट आउट होते हैं और कोई वहाँ के जो लोग रहते हैं उनको भी लेके आपने कुछ किया है ऐसा?
हाँ, उन लोगों के साथ पहली बात तो आपको मिलना पड़ता है जो वहाँ पर रहे हैं, वो जो उस पीरियड के पार्ट थे, जिनका वहाँ पर एक्सपीरियंस रहा है। तो उन लोगों से हमारी बातचीत हुई थी, उन्होंने कहा है कि कितना डेंजरस था वो पीरियड, जब गैंग वॉर्स हुआ करते थे। और ये 90s, लेट 80s और मिड 90s तक जो पीरियड था वाज फॉर मुंबई अ वेरी वेरी स्कैरी पीरियड, बिकॉज इट वाज वेरी वेरी अंडरवर्ल्ड ड्रिवन। अभी काफ़ी सफाई हो गई है, सब अभी बोलते कि अब तो वाइट कॉलर बन गए भाई, वो काम नहीं करते। तो आई थिंक एवरीबडी, मगर वैसे क्यों बने, वैसे वो उन्होंने क्यों किया, क्योंकि द थिंग इज, व्हाट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज, व्हाट पीपल शुड अंडरस्टैंड इज कि द मिल्स जो थे ना वहाँ के, दगड़ी चौल वॉज मिल वर्कर के घर थे वहाँ पर। जब मिल स्ट्राइक पर गए, व्हेन द स्ट्राइक हैपेंड देयर, लॉट ऑफ पीपल गॉट अनएम्प्लॉयड, lot of people didn't know what to do, and the unions created that, and that's what created the underbelly of the underworld in Mumbai. तो अगर हम किसी को काम दे, किसी को उनकी रोजी रोटी आ रही है घर पे, तो वो बंदूक क्यों उठाएगा? वो बंदूक तभी उठाएगा जब he has to survive for himself. तो I think without justifying too much, और फिर एक होता है कि चस्का लग जाता है पावर का, जब आप पावरफुल हो जाते हो और सब आपकी सुनते हैं, तो वो भी एक नशा है। और उस तरीके से फिर किस तरीके से वो बढ़ते रहते हैं, पैसा का नशा आ जाता है जब आप पैसे कमाने लगते हो और आसानी से आप बिल्डर को फ़ोन कर रहे हो, बोल रहे हो कि बॉस प्रोटेक्शन चाहिए तो इतने पैसे दे दे, तो वो जो पीरियड है वो सब तो दिखाया है, क्योंकि दैट्स ट्रू टू द पीरियड।
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Right.
Hi, I'm Gitika. I teach TV production and TV entertainment in Amity University, Mumbai. So my question is, there are two types of audience. One is PVR का crowd and another is Getty Galaxy का crowd. So आपको क्या लगता है, ये दोनों टाइप का crowd pull कर पाएंगे आप?
Yeah, I think that's the idea. That's what I was saying earlier about the film, is that for us, I think the success would be if it can cut across different kinds of audiences. And I think for me, the hope is quite ambitious, that like maybe we can think of a different kind of Hindi film. Like everything doesn't have to be either it's PVR or it's festival or it's, like a big 500 crore film, and that has a different aesthetic. Like, why do we think in such simple terms? Like, why can't there be more overlap like there is in other industries, where we have something which looks beautiful and is still really big, or something that's very intense and it's still very commercial? I'm saying, why are we stuck to these old categories? I think it's time to start moving on and start creating, more spaces for what Hindi film can do. That's my hope.
We have seen different films, like Once Upon a Time in Mumbai. So Kangana Ranaut was very glamorous, and your Asha Gaule is very simple and sober and decent, like Next Door Girl. Another D Company. So D Company was not commercially hit, but Once Upon a Time in Mumbai was commercially hit because of songs and looks, and so that's why I'm asking. So fine, I got
Things
my
have
answer.
changed. Well,
So,
yes and no. If you look at the arc of the industry right now, I think everybody in this room knows that there is no calculated guess. The things that we all know, all the glamorous stuff that's supposedly surefire hit, complete washout. Films that are really small, which you don't expect anyone to watch, they've done 10 times their business. I think the model is changing. I think we have to be...
No, and you see, I would also say that there are films like Rang De Basanti, okay, which kind of, I think, is a good example to give, where it went to two different kinds of audiences and both of them understood it. Why? Because it did not alienate people. हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि हम बोलते हैं कि अच्छा ठीक है, ये पिक्चर है, ये this is the star of the movie, this is the heroine of the film, this is the budget of the film, put so many songs into it. We kind of package our films mostly and say this movie, so make it Punjab friendly, make it, South friendly, make it Mumbai friendly. You kind of favor the circuits that give you the maximum amount of commercial success, and you kind of put things in accordingly. This film doesn't lend itself to that. This is a true story. You have to be true to the character, but at the same time, we cannot make it really, really inaccessible. And we've tried to do that. Picture kya karti hai box office pe, how many people like it, kitne joote padenge, that you end up knowing only on that Friday that the film releases.
All right, Arjun, it's been 17 years. I wanted to say, you were amazing in Moksh, and that was your best performance till date. That is your best performance till date. I hope कि Daddy ये जो opinion है वो change कर पाए. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think we're at the end of our time. Is there any last question? Pressing question? Okay, last question for the gentleman in the front.
The kind of preparation you did for this role, I'm sure you did a lot of involvement in terms of method acting. You try to internalize the character a lot. Were there any kind of psychological effects while playing the character, and what you felt the most, and how did you overcome that?
I think you should ask my family that. No, not really. I mean, I was very scared while playing him. And, I used to keep asking Oshim, am I doing it right? I hope I'm doing it right. It wasn't like, oh, this is the character and I'm walking onto the set like that. I think it kind of, as you keep getting into it, and as you keep saying those lines and you start, working with the people around you, it wasn't that, oh, this is the only way. Sometimes I would kind of go in a totally different direction and just feed off people. And I think the atmosphere that is created for an actor to go there, sit, what he's wearing, all of that, it just kind of brings that and helps you get into it. Because the minute they would say cut, there would be 10 people with checks behind my back to sign. So, you went through all those different kind of things. But yes, somewhere I think what really helped was understanding him. And understanding between us about not playing this guy as the typical hero. Not projecting him like that. Going as close as we could. And then when we got to meet him, just to see that body language and to see how, he is. And what was really nice, and what I noticed was they are very, very gentle. And they have, वो तेजी बहुत होती है इनमें, they are very polite, they are very humble. But they will say something, and you will say, hold on, what does that mean? So, I mean, to get those little things into the script was very exciting for us. And psychologically, I think I'm quite okay right now, no? I don't know. I hope I don't
Just
have,
about.
Yeah, just about. I think on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people didn't mess with me. That was and another interesting thing had happened, and which I'd like to share with everybody. I was one day dressed like him, and I was in Dagdi Chawl, as we were doing some shoot there, and his brother-in-law, walked up and came and touched my feet because he thought I was him. And I thought that for me was like the biggest thing that could happen. I mean, that was really, really incredible. Yeah, it was really something special, and let's hope it's as special as we are making it out to be when you all see it.
I think it does look special. It is very special, and I personally feel it's going to do something that has never happened before. It's going to cross all these boundaries of mainstream, independent, festival. It's just, going to be something that everyone can come and see, like you said, in different layers. And I want to thank you both for coming here, sharing with us this first look, the story behind Daddy, the magic of Daddy. and for putting yourselves through what seems like an arduous task, but I think it's going to be amazing. So all of you be ready for next steps. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you, Arjun.
Thank you all. Thanks for coming, and really, it was really fun. Thank you.